Alright everyone, Supreme Kami over here. So I am going to be now reviewing the build project Gundam Bael. So I think a lot of people definitely want this guy to not be a standard unit. I think a lot of people were expecting this one initially to be released as either like a Sokai unit or like a Gundam First unit, but they had decided to give this one a build project pilot or build project unit a tier over here. So we already do have the standard version already, and it does also have a alt version just right over here. So we only have 6 parts to be looking at, so let's kind of see what kind of stuff we're looking at. So in terms of this Bael Gundam over here, so alright, so let's talk about the parts to be exact over here. So 6 part, right? So in terms of the gauge, each of these parts you do have to kind of exchange it over here. So let me show you guys real quick. So it's gonna be a little expensive, definitely. So you guys gotta be careful like which kind of part you want to be looking out for. So it's gonna be costing you, 2 different types of material over here. So it's gonna be costing you 5 material per. So it's 5 times the material per whichever week we're looking at. So this one, once you do have 5 material A and 5 material C, and then it's going to be so on and so forth for the other one. So it's going to be randomized throughout the other one. So this one was something from material B and then material D. So so all in all, in terms of plus alteration, you are going to be looking at 99,000 hardships to be spent if you want to get the full set, everything alterated. So definitely going to be a little expensive, but if you guys don't really care too much about the stat, you guys just purely want it for the aestheticness over here, definitely go for the standard one over here, because the standard one is actually not shabby at all. Like if you want to compare that to even the build project, I even think this one is the standard one is better, just because this one does have buff effects while the build project does not. So man, like they definitely built this one right for sure. Like this one is not even that terrible. So let's kind of check out what the build project has in store for us over here. So keep that in mind, this one does have access to the 7-star property. So whatever word tag you can find within this one, for example, you guys can definitely use whatever pre-existing word tag that is given on this one as well. So so it doesn't really matter how bad of a word tag they give this guy over here, because it does have access to the alternative attributes, so you guys can definitely access it for sure. But all right, let's kind of dig in and see what we have over here. In terms of the Gundam Bael, you guys can definitely see throughout all the parts that it has some extremely high armor throughout. So that is definitely something you guys can kind of check out for sure. But the overall status are actually not even that terrible. Like give me a shot, like the shot variant, like your shot attack, shot defense is not too shabby. But this one is purely going to be for a melee base over here. So in terms of overall war tech, high mobility is definitely going to be the one you for sure has to be using for this overall build. For spaces, definitely going to be a filler in war tech over here, but you can definitely replace it with maybe close combat if that is a applicable war tech on the T attribute. So it's not really much to talk about this one over here, because it does have a awakenable EX skill over here. So this one does give you a speed up to 20% as well as a melee up to a 59%. So that is going to be one of your higher kind of multiplier or a percentage to be given. But this one is going to be on a awakenable EX skill or just awaken EX skill. So not really too sure like how I feel about this one. So mainly I don't like these types of EX skill, because like I feel like I'd rather have something that is like attackable, that is like more or less like a damage thing. So this one, in terms of the third effects over here, your attack stance, I mean like stunning your enemy is actually going to be a good thing, because the late EX skill you can definitely miss by a lot. So being able to stun your enemy with like the first hitter is actually not a bad option. So that is definitely gonna something you have to keep that in mind, because the EX skill on the Gundam Bael is actually terrible. Just because the EX skill does not have any iframes. So if you are gonna do like a 1v1, you will definitely know that your EX skill, like let's say 6 out of 10 times, is gonna get knocked out. So kind of unfortunate, but hopefully this effects right here does help it out. But other than that, I would have to say this one is probably a no grab, just because this one has the EX skill. It's not really that good. So yeah, that part definitely not a solid option. Word tag wise, I do want to quickly check out the standard version. Just want to see what we're packing. It does have close combat, so that's definitely going to be a word tag you can kind of replace right there. So there you go. But other than that, head part definitely no go for sure. Because let's take a look at the option that we are given. You got the Ashma Origin over here that is pumping in a 40% trade, so that is definitely something you cannot lose to. Some other relevant one that I can kind of spot, maybe the Gosora does have an energy charge boosting, so that is still a fairly good options we're looking at. Other than that, these one over here may not be the best. So if you do have the Ashmore origin already, run that one over this one. This one you can simply replace it with standard version and you'll be top tier A1 to go. So moving on to the torso over here, so let's see what we have. In terms of the torso, you can already see that we are going up to a 10,000 armor base over here, so actually fairly decent, but in terms of overall all the other stat, the shot attack, like the raw shot attack, is actually relatively low. Shot defense is quite hot as well, so I think that is due to the fact that any unit from the Iron Blooded Orphan series tend to have a little bit of a higher shot attack, I think, just because of what their armor is kind of made up from. I think they do want to keep it as enemy accurate as kind of possible. So yeah, not bad for sure, not bad. Word tag on this one is going to be perfect. High firepower in close combat, so that is definitely going to be a pretty good word tag combo. But in terms of the overall portrait, do keep that in mind. In terms of any build project pilot, or this, I keep saying pilot, but any build project over here, they have 10, or they have discontinued running those 40% trait. That is actually good because it does kind of alleviate any temptation to kind of pull for them. For one, they're not even that good of a stat. You guys can take a look in terms of the Ashmoth origin over here. It has a little bit of a higher stat, so that's that giveaway of saying this is not going to be the part, because if a Soka part can rival up to a build project part, why even get it? Because these are supposed to be like really secret. They're supposed to be like the best of the best part, because they are expensive. Keep that in mind. They are very expensive parts to be picking up. So why would I pick something that is not even that top tier anymore, right? This one only popping out a 32, a 35/35 is obviously can be replaceable with, let's say, the more break over here, pumping out a 40% trait for you guys over here. So those are definitely going to be something you can kind of skip for sure. This one is not going to be a grab for sure. Just other things you kind of notice, I think that is pretty much going to be it. Just the extremely high armor base over here. Melee attack, it can be fairly sufficient enough, and the melee defense definitely on that relatively high number as well. But with the given option that we have today, definitely not going to be a good pickup, of course. Moving on to the Bael's armor over here, you guys continue the trend, having some incredibly high armor over here, so breaking that 10k. But with the release of the double XM riser, I think getting this armor is not going to be a good option. Just the fact that in terms of the XM riser, this actually have a little bit of a higher overall melee attack. This comes with 40% trait, so what else do you want? Both of them are actually going to be P attributes. So given the fact that this one 40% trait, better word tag selection on the jump, this one is definitely going to be your better choice for sure. Just there's no question asked. This one does bound you to using a high mobility. I think that's a fine option, of course, just because how many parts they released up to now. It's a little bit centered toward a high mobility, but still, I don't know. I feel like high mobility is still one of the not too relevant trait to be running, or tag to be too exact. For me specifically, I don't ever run it because most of my part revolves around high firepower, so there's really not much way I can kind of switch from that. So yeah, gonna be pretty much it on that. So the arm is gonna be another dead giveaway. No, don't alternate it or don't even pick it up because it's just not that good. All right, moving on to the leg over here. Let's see what we have. In terms of the overall leg, you guys can continue to see the trend of some extremely high armor over here. I don't think anywhere on the list right now has anything that might rival that in terms of the overall armor base right there. But in terms of overall stat, this is literally going to be in the middle of the pack, not the highest, not the lowest, but this one having an EX skill here is definitely going to take a toll. So this one is literally the same EX skill as you can find on the T attribute, the standard version. This one, the only thing they want to give is only going to be an SS minus power modifier. I think prior to alteration, we should be looking at an S plus. So yeah, not really anything too special right here. So even though it does go up to S plus on base level 1, I don't think it can rival anything nowhere near this one for saying. This one does go up to S power already. I don't think it goes up anymore. Yeah, S power. I think this one being a level 10 S power flat, it should be maybe. I don't know, would it hit harder than this one, like this one base level 1 S plus power. But other than that, I feel like the leg is just not going to be a good option either. yeah, just pretty much not good, you know. So this one is gonna be a death skip again. No, no, no. Alright, so moving into the backpack, so it's going to be the exact same thing as we just kind of take a look in terms of the standard version. So it's going to give you like a, what, A minus and B plus power. So the only difference you can see this one from the standard option, this one actually has a little bit of a higher, let's say, power multiplier. So this one go up to A minus, while the standard version maxed out at B plus. But other than that, in terms of what we're looking at, I don't think there's anything too spectacular that you can kind of say you need it for. But this one is a little bit funny. So this one actually has a commander tag, so that's quite interesting in a way. Like, do keep in mind, this one does have some pretty high, for a melee based unit, this one does have some pretty high shot attack and shot defense as well. So this one can be a sneaky good option depending on what kind of build you guys are looking at. So you know, but other than that, I would have to say the backpack is not going to be a good pickup either, because the standard version does it already. Not anything too new in a way. In terms of overall stat, not the highest, so why would we want to invest in a part that does not yield the highest stat being a build project? So but other than that, alright, so the last thing to go over is going to be the Bael sword over here. But this one is actually quite interesting. So this one actually, this one is specifically designed, let's say, for or for arena specifically, for 3 and 3. Because this one, when squad has all attributes, so meaning you have PST attribute, initial charge boosted, initial squad boosted by 20%. So this is definitely going to be a new trait that they might be implementing on future part as well. So having this one does immediately alleviate any possibility of even running initial charge boosting for individually. So this having one right here is actually really good. So not bad. Like, I definitely like the overall new part trait wise over here. But I will have to say wait until, let's say, we have it for some other stuff. I feel like summoning specifically to get this one is kind of like a wow option to be looking at. Just because I feel like eventually they should roll it out to some standard or even maybe Sokai tier parts. So it's gonna be a little bit inexpensive to get it at that point, but right now getting this one is too expensive. So overall, I think just look at it simply. I don't think there's anything part that you need to kind of worry about. You know, all the other part can be replaced, and you know, the only thing that they are really doing is just pumping out those 35/35% trade, which is already irrelevant since we do have 40% trade already. Stat wise, not really the highest, so right in between the packs of, you know, some old Sokai unit and like talking about 7-star specifically, but just from the list, let's like middle of the pack, so it's not going to be that great of a pickup for investment purposes. So so that's going to be pretty much this. So I would have to say all parts for the Bael Gundam is definitely not going to be good for pickup, just because what they're doing is not really that good. It's a little bit too expensive. The stat is just not really up there, you know. If this one is a build project, I do expect right now on release should be like rank 1 across the board. So I don't see a reason why right now it's like a little bit lower than what we have already. So I think that is gonna be pretty much that does it. So if anyone is planning to summon for the build project one, I will highly suggest you guys to just go for the center version and just call it a day. This one is just too big of an investment that is not really worth it at the end of the day. But that being said, that is going to be pretty much it, and I'll catch you guys all on the next one.